TPLF! No more TPLF! No more! No more! No more! No more! No more! No more!
No more attacking Ethiopia! No more making fake news about Ethiopia! Ethiopia is ready! Ethiopia is ready to use our water! No more systemic apartheid in Africa! We stand for Ethiopian unity! Ethiopia is one! Ethiopia is one! We no longer need tribal life! We stand by Abiy! We stand by Ethiopian administration! We stand by Ethiopian government! No more!
No more! No more! No more! No more lies! No more lies! No more lies! No more fake news! No more fake news! No more fake news! No more misinformation! No more disinformation! No more propaganda! No more sanctions! No more sanctions! No more sanctions on Ethiopia! No more sanctions on Eritrea! No more sanctions on Somalia! No more terrorism! No more terrorists! No more puppet regime! No more dictatorship! No more division! No more division! No more bullying! No more bullying! No more hate! No more hate! No more panic! No more fear! No more! No more! No more!
Hi, Dr. Mambo Walde is going to give us a brief speech. I know Dr. Mambo for a long time. I used to be a teacher at TSU University History Central Campus, and I never got the commentary statement like he did. Most of his students think he's brilliant. Actually, subject he teaches statistics. So you talk to students, most of the time they give you bad ratings. I got a special for him. And he's the only one that I hear students saying he's the smartest guy and the best teacher. So Dr. Mambo is going to share his views for a big time.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mambo Walde, but I just want everybody to know that I do not represent my place of work, so whatever I say is my own opinion. I look around, and most of you were not born 30 years ago. I'm one of those people who demonstrated about 30 years ago, not far from here, against the TPLF government. And now we're back at it again. That's really sad. But one thing that has changed is TPLF is no more in power. TPLF is down and now wants to come back. But the good thing that Ethiopia has never been any more united than what is now. We need to strengthen that unity. We don't want to pitch Amaras against Oromos, against Tigres, against Gurages, and so on. We all have to stand together. This is for one Ethiopia, one and only one Ethiopia, and nothing else. We have to protect that. And one way we can do that is by what? stretching our hands. We need to support the Ethiopian government, whatever it does. We need to support it. This is a democratic elected government by the people. It is an elected government by the people, democratically elected. We need to support that government. We need to support the people. We need to lend out their hands. And we have to use our democratic rights here, especially those of you who are citizens of this country. You need to do that. You need to take that to the ballot. We have to support those people who support us. If they don't support us, we should not support them. So let's make that absolutely clear. And please, let's not pitch against one another. Let's not spread rumors. Let's talk about Ethiopian unity. Only Ethiopian unity. Talk about what brings us together. And let's do the right thing. God bless Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
No more? No more? All right. We're going to have one more song play, and then we're going to get back to our chants. After that, we're going to have a couple more speakers, and we're going to continue with our chants. Okay, there we go. One song. I'll meet you back after this song.
Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and move forward into our next speaker. We have Dr. Musman here who came to speak for us. And we're very excited to have you here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Okay, first off, let me say we are here gathered not against the Tigrayan people, but in defense of Ethiopia and against the TPLF, which is the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, the organization. TPLF is currently fighting Ethiopia. TPLF is a tribal organization. It was never for Ethiopia from the get-go. It never acted Ethiopian when it was governing Ethiopia for the last 27 years. In fact, it ruled the country with iron fist as a liberation front, not as an Ethiopian organization, but as a liberation front, being at the top, at the helm of power, and having a name. Liberation Front by itself is very, very contradictory. It shows their hidden agenda from the very beginning. It killed and maimed people across the country in thousands over the course of its rule, and that divided the country along ethnic lines and nurtured ethnic animosity, pitting one ethnic group against another, just like colonizers did back in the 50s and 60s. It forced people to carry ethnic cards, ethnic identity cards. It controlled 100% of the parliament. And then, because of its divide and conquer strategy, TPLF controlled the bank, the tank, and the rack across the country. According to Transparency International, over $30 billion left the country, illicit money, during the course of the last 30 years under its rule.
And that money is now being used to lobby government officials in Europe and United States. TPLF claims to represent 5 million people, claims to represent. But it is determined to kill millions in order to rule 112 million Ethiopians. They lost power 3 years ago when they attacked the federal army stationed in Tigray in order to loot the heavy weapons and then topple the central government by force. The federal government had to respond. Which government on the planet would sit idle when a section of its own army commits treasonous act in order to grab power? None. But the Ethiopian government has been chastised for doing just that. Unfortunately, it seems like there is a coordinated effort by the Biden administration, the other Western governments, the United Nations, and the media. Don't forget the media, to undermine the Ethiopian government in the name of human rights. And the word genocide is being weaponized by the West. They accuse the Ethiopian government of waging war against Tigrayans, which is completely false. TPLF massacred hundreds of Amaras and Afar civilians, as attested by the United Nations Human Rights Council. But Security Council chided the Ethiopian government 12 times in a year, but no accusation against TPLF that's committing this crime. This is double standard. If you see the Security Council, the way it's acting, it met twice over the GERD issue, 12 times over the Tigray issue, but the lineup in the Security Council is the same. For and against is the same, which shows there is something else behind that we don't know. And TPLF still occupy a big chunk of land in Amhara and committing atrocities, but nobody intensely oppose what's going on with the same vibe they are against the Ethiopian government. It feels like the wrong and the right have switched sides. Okay, we voted for President Biden thinking they would be fair to our interests and for Africa. Would you vote for them again? No! Say no more. No! We trusted the news media like CNN, New York Times, Washington Post for fair reporting. Do you trust them again? No! We thought aid agencies go to Africa only to feed the poor and the victims of war and ethnic cleansing. Do you trust them all? No! CNN the other day reported Addis Ababa is surrounded by TPLF to provoke panic and discourage travelers from flying the Ethiopian Airlines. Do you trust CNN again? No! Leave Ethiopia or Africa alone. It knows how to solve its problems. Ethiopia will rise again. And thank you, just short 2 poems in Amharic. ድሮም አውሮፓኖች አፍሪካን ሲወሩ ለማስተማር እንጂ መች ለመዝረፍ አሉ። ቅኝ ገዢዎች ጠፉ ተገላገልን ስንል እንደገና መጡ በሰባዊነት ስም። ይሄ ደግሞ ለኔና እንደው ቀና ላሉ ሰዎች ነው። በግራጄ ስምል አድጌ ግራ ሆነብኝ መንገዴ። ይሻላል ብዬ ቀኘን ብሞክረው ጭራሽ ቀኝ ገዢ ሆኖ አረፈው። አይዟችሁ ኢትዮጵያ ሁሌም በታሪክ ስትፈተን የኖረች ሀገር ናት። ጎጠኝነት ከኢትዮጵያ ምድር ይጠፋል። ኢትዮጵያ አትፈርስም፣ ኢትዮጵያ አትፈርስም፣ ኢትዮጵያ አትፈርስም።
We have one more speaker today. We have, forgive me if I don't say this right, Zuma Alexander Eze is a Nigerian-born CEO of Aid Money, the money transfer app for Africans living in the diaspora in the U.S. And Mr. Williams, forgive me so much.
And Mr. Williams.
Uzoma is a practicing CPA and attorney with over 15 years experience representing clients in federal and state courts in New York and Texas. His practice within the African diaspora community led him to an understanding that Africa will never rise until its children in the diaspora join hands and capital across continents to resist and repel those who would exploit Africa's resources and human capital and wealth. This understanding founded Aid Money, a fintech with a goal of uniting remittances and payments into Africa toward the goal of African independence, liberation, and development. Please support Africa and Africans by using Aid Money's app to send funds to your loved ones in Ethiopia. We also operate cargo services in Ethiopia. So with that, I give you guys Mr. Uzoma Alexander Eze and Williams.
Good day, Ethiopia. I speak as one of you. I am Nigerian, born, raised in America, like a lot of you. Dual experience, fully African. And what every African knows, all 54 countries, is that within Africa, we have elder brethren. Ethiopia is the elder. Africa looks to you for history, for leadership. Everything you do, we follow. The reason I'm here today is to speak for the rest of Africa as best as I can, to say to you that what you're doing is not just commendable, but it's necessary. For too long, the powers that be understand that the way to control Africa is to get us to do the killing. If all we do is realize that we no longer kill Africans, no matter the justification, no more. No more. Whatever solution there is, it cannot come down to one more blood spilt. If that's what Ethiopia brings to Africa, you will once again have led us as the elder sibling of Africa, and we beg you to lead us that way. I look around me, I don't see Muslim, I don't see Christian, I don't see Coptic, I don't see anything but Ethiopia. I don't see Oromo, I don't see Amhara, I don't see Tigray, I see Ethiopia. The unity that you're showing here is what Africa is going to see, and is what's going to help Africa and Ethiopia get through this current conflict. I say to you, people always talk about how willing they are to die for what they love and for their country and for Africa. And I say this to you, dying is easy, living is hard. If you love someone or if you love something, live for it. Let's get that message to Africa. The only way Africa gets exploited is people convince us to hurt ourselves, to hurt each other. If all we do is change that mindset and always look for a solution that ends up with no African blood spilt, we can change all of these realities in our lifetime. It's doable, it's being done. What you're doing today is proof of it. The unity that we see here, all I have to say to you is that we have nothing but respect for Ethiopia and your ability to lead with unity. Continue to lead us, keep us united, no more blood. No more. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, brother. Okay, I lied. We have one more. This time I promise. One more. We have one more speaker. We have Brother Nagash right here. Mahari Nagash, the Eritrean community.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, don't have that much to say because all of them, they said it already. I don't want to take your time. All I have to say is I'm so proud to be here on the behalf of the Eritrean Community Center here in Houston, Texas. we have, as a community, we have a good relationship with the Ethiopian community here in Houston, Texas. We're doing so much good job, good work. So I'm very proud to be here. No more sanctions. No more sanctions on Eritrea and Ethiopia. No more sanctions on Eritrea and Ethiopia. Stop supporting TPLF terrorists. Stop the war in Ethiopia. Stop the war in Ethiopia. Hands off Ethiopia and Eritrea. Hands off Ethiopia and Eritrea. Thank you so much. I have my friend from Eritrean Community Center, Yosef, is going to make a speech, and we're done. Thanks so much.
Hi, Yosef.
Hi. Hi, Yosef. All right, how's everyone? No more sanction. No more U.S. intervention. Eritrea prevails. Ethiopia prevails. No more TPLF terrorists. Thank you. I'm going to read this on behalf of the Eritrean community in Eastern Texas. I'll make it loudly and clearly. Make it quickly, okay? Thank you. We Eritrean and Ethiopian are profoundly dismayed by the executive order of President Joe Biden on September 17, 2021, and the subsequent sanctions imposed on Eritrea on November 12, 2021, based on disinformation orchestrated by the TPLF and their enablers who reports are based on the groups of fabrication and works of certain NGOs. Ethiopia, as a sovereign nation, has designated the TPLF as a terrorist due to its repeated sedition military acts and genocidal activities against innocent civilians. Similarly, Eritrean dispute the reported unprovoked terrorist attacks by the TPLF has continued to be stabilized force in the region. Hence, it is unbecoming for a superpower that widely strong international diplomacy and economic law to enable a terrorist organization that is determined to destabilize the Horn of Africa and helping on putting ethnic groups of the region against each other to prolong its life. Bringing pressure to bear on Eritrea and Ethiopia to oppose and embody a terrorist organization that has continually destabilized the origin and fostered enmity among Ethiopia's ethnic groups, as well as those of the rest of the Horn, will have dire consequently on the region's long-term political, diplomatic, economic, and security conditions. It looks like the Biden administration has repeated the mistakes of previous U.S. administrations that stood on the wrong side of history in a number of countries, examples such as apartheid in South Africa, Angola, etc. Therefore, it is incumbent upon the U.S. to correct its wrong policies and condemn TPLF adventurous military activities in the Horn of Africa. It also has to support Eritrea's right to define its sovereignty from the group that had openly declared its intentions to invade and had already launched dozens of rockets into Eritrea's population centers. We therefore urge the current U.S. administration to stop support the terrorist group of TPLF, revoke the ill-advised executive order along with its subsequent sanctions, which will only embody the TPLF, which is determined to sow chaos, cause death and destruction, and lead to a further instability and fragmentation of Ethiopia and the Horn of Africa. In this historic occasion, we call upon all peace-loving peoples and nations to denounce the unjust sanction against the people of Eritrea and demand that it is rescinded. We also demand that the US refrains from undermining Ethiopia's sovereignty rights as a nation. On conclusion, for the people of Eritrea, Ethiopia, and the greater Horn of Africa to live in peace and stability, it is high time that we stand together so that Eritrea, Ethiopia, and the Horn of Africa can prevail. Thank you. Thank you.
No more. No more. No more. No more. No. 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 What do we? When I say CNN, you say no more. CNN? BBC? Fox News? Al Jazeera? No more? No more?
Protestant, then you know that biblical Kush is all of the kingdom south of Egypt. Yes. Ethiopia is holy for you. Yes. If you are an Ifa worshiper, you believe that you came from the east, Ethiopia is holy for you. Yes. If you are an animist, Ethiopia is the origin of life. Yes. Ethiopia is holy for you. Yes. If you are a Marxist even, Gada's system was in Ethiopia. There was no private property. The land belonged to God and was under the control of the farmers. Historically, the Ethiopian aristocracy treated the farmers with respect and honor, going to even study in the countryside Gadam. The kings went barefoot and slept on the floor if there was famine among the farmers. Respect our Ethiopia. If you are Orthodox Christian, it is written among the foreigners of the 1st century that Ethiopia and Egypt were ruled by one Ethiopian queen. So when the Christian Holy Family fled to Egypt, that included Ethiopia. Ethiopia is holy for us. Ethiopia yenya tilukinatina. Yes! By internationalism, the cool African Union, demo yenya shmagelinat. Yes! Yenya shmagele African Union, no. Yes! Our negotiator is the African Union. Yes! Ethiopia beta African Union. Yes! Ethiopia ye American agar machawat bota idol. No! Ethiopia ye Russia and ye China machawat bota idol. No proxy war in Ethiopia. No proxy war in Ethiopia. Underline the bell. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Ethiopian lives matter. Ethiopian lives matter. African lives matter. African lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Ethiopian lives matter. Ethiopian lives matter. African lives matter. African lives matter. We are one people. Yes. One people. One destiny. Yes. ዛሬ ለየኛ ኦርቶዶክሶች የአመት ቅዱስ ሚካኤል ነው ደሞ ቅዱስ ሚካኤል ከእግዚአብሔር ሕዝቦች በረሃብ ውስጥ ነበረ ቅዱስ ሚካኤል አሁን ወደ ኢትዮጵያዊ ጋር ናና ሰላም ለዝክረ ስምከ መስመስም ለኡዝ ተሰተለ ወለ አረ ሄሎ Mikael Nana Ethiopia Lamatabek. Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you, sister.
አባታችን አንድ ሁለት ደቂቃ ቡራኬ እንዲሰጡ እድል ሰጥተዋል። አባሱ ኦኬ
እያሉኝ ነው።
አስፋ ወደ ያው ከስጋው Ryan, come over here. Come over here. You are popular today. Here's your phone. Okay, let's please clear this area. Please. We gotta give room for the speakers. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, this is not a party. This is a protest. It's not a party. Okay, don't worry. Thank you.
We didn't come here to celebrate the foreign policy of Biden's administration. We came here to tell them what we think. So please, let me tell you something real quick. Starting in 2018, Ethiopia was on a much sought-after democratic journey, with the government making reforms never seen before.
Many of these publicly supported changes were led by Prime Minister Abiy. I think we all agree the government was not perfect, but no one is. But we're on the right path. So when I say the reformist actions the government has made, you say Abiy. Who is the first democratically elected leader in Ethiopia? Abiy! Who is that? Abiy! Who is that? Abiy! Who brought major reforms to Ethiopia? Abiy! Who formed a government with 50% women? Abiy! Who freed political prisoners? Abiy! Who made peace with Eritrea? Abiy! Who's working to mitigate climate change by planting 20 billion trees? Abiy! Who established an independent human rights organization? Abiy! Who established an independent election board? Abiy! Who established an independent judicial branch? Abiy! Who is it? Abiy! Who is it? Who is it? I don't hear you. Abiy! 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 I want to introduce to you our next speaker. Her name is Kim Monroe. She's from the Black Alliance. Black Alliance for Peace. All right, so we'll give her a few minutes, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Kim Monroe, Black Alliance for Peace, and I'm going to read a statement from the Black Alliance. Thank you for having us. We in the Black Alliance for Peace stand in uncompromising opposition to the U.S.-led imperialist aggression against Ethiopia and by extension against her neighboring countries, Eritrea, Somalia, and beyond. U.S. policy against Ethiopia cannot be understood without putting it in within the broader context of U.S. imperialism's geostrategic interest in the Horn of Africa in particular and whole in Africa in general. It is not lost in the black radicals and revolutionary Pan-Africanists that we U.S. settler colonial state is an extension of Western Europe, and as such it is motivated by a white supremacist imperialist worldview. In spite of its benevolent rhetoric, the U.S.'s unwavering commitment to full spectrum dominance reveals the only true intentions it has for Ethiopia and for our homeland Africa. Since the 1950s, African movements against colonialism and for continental unity have been sabotaged by U.S. administrations of both parties. Leaders such as Police Lumumba of Congo were assassinated by the U.S. CIA, and Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana was overthrown in a CIA orchestrated coup. 10 years ago, the U.S. led the NATO bombing of Libya, which decimated the country, killing not only the leader, Gaddafi, but also an untold number of Libyans. This was the operation of the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, that has since been responsible for thoroughly militarizing the continent of Africa, including waging an unmitigated drone war in Somalia. The relative instability in Ethiopia can only be sustained through U.S. support. The empty rhetoric from officials like U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken represents the propaganda aspect of the hybrid war waged against Ethiopia. It is important that we see the sanctions, media information, and the arrogant ultimatums by U.S. imperialism for what they are, the desperate mechanisms of global power in crisis. Western imperialism is being confronted by people-centered expressions of resistance in Africa and globally. This week, a French military convoy from Ivory Coast, transitioning across Burkina Faso toward Niger, a source uranium for France, was stopped by 10,000 demonstrators demanding that the French forces evacuate from the region. The convoy had already been stopped on November 17th in Burkina Faso City, Bobo Dioulasso, and on the 18th in the capital. The imperialist press won't cover this resistance. Now expressions of solidarity from around the world are standing up for the Horn of Africa. While the Black Alliance for Peace is committed to peace, we understand there can be no peace without justice. And we will stand in solidarity with all the peoples and nations who strive to liberate themselves from all forms of neo-colonial oppression. BAP takes a resolute anti-colonial, anti-imperialist position that links the internal role of the U.S. empire to the domestic war against poor people and working class black people within the United States. We unequivocally support and uplift mutual cooperation, solidarity, and peace among all parties and people in Ethiopia, Eritrea, and the broader Horn of Africa region. We support African-led, localized conflict resolution that is not tied to advancing imperialism, neocolonialism, or any other nefarious Western agendas. We must all transform our mobilizations into organized, protracted struggles that forges a transcontinental cooperation that will save ourselves from the greatest threat to peace and stability on the planet, the U.S. government. The U.S., EU, NATO axis of domination will ultimately find its deathbed in Africa at the hands of Pan-African masses. U.S. out of Africa, shut down AFRICOM, no compromise, no retreat, hands off Ethiopia, hands off Eritrea, hands off of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Thea. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing solidarity with Ethiopians. Thank you, everyone. So the next speaker will be በአማርኛ ነው ማስተዋወቀው ብዙ አሁን ወደ ሁለት የሃይማኖት አባቶች እንደገና በጣም አጭር የሆነ እንዳይሰለቻችሁ አጭር የሆነ መልእክት ያስተላልፉልናል። እዚህ ስለቆዩ ነው መካከላችን ድጋፍ ለማድረግ ስለመጡ ነው። ከነሱ በኋላ ደግሞ ሌሎች ፕሮግራም ይቀጥላሉ። እንዳትሄዱ ባካችሁ እንዳትሄዱ፣ የትም አንሄድም። ዛሬ ገና ድምጻችንን በደንብ እናሰማለን። የትም አንሄድም። የትም አንሄድም። ኢትዮጵያ በአሜሪካን ሴራ አትፈርስም። ኢትዮጵያ በአሜሪካን ሴራ አትፈርስም። ኢትዮጵያ በአሜሪካና በሚሊዮን ሰው ሴራ አትፈርስም። ኢትዮጵያዊነት ለዘላለም ይኑር። ኢትዮጵያዊነት ለዘላለም ይኑር። እሺ፣ ብፁዕ አቡነ ሳሙኤል በሜሪላንድ ሀገረ ስብከት ለሳቸው እድሉን ሰጥና አጭር መልእክት ያስተላልፉልናል። ከዛም ሌላ የሃይማኖት አባት አለ። እባካችሁን በጥሞና ተከታተሉ።
በስመ አብ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ አሜን። እግዚአብሔር አምላካችን ሆይ ይህን ሕዝብ ከሩቅም ከቅርብም ለሀገሩ ለወገኑ ለሕዝቡ ተቆርቁሮ በዚህ ቦታ አቤቱታ የሚያሰማውን አንተው ድምፁን ስማው። አሜን። አንተው ድምፁ ነው። አሜን። አንተ ታላቅ አምላክ ነህ። ሕዝቅያስ ጸለየ፣ ወደ አንተ ጠየቀ፣ ከሰናክሬም አፍ ከሰናክሬም መንጋጋ አዳንከው። አሜን። አሁንም ኢትዮጵያን እንደዚሁ አድንልን፣ አንተ ታደግልን። አሜን። እንግዲህ መቼስ ልጆች እንግዲህ መሰባሰብ ያለ ነው። እስካሁን ድረስ ጊዜ ተሰባስበናል። በየጊዜው በየሰዓቱም ስብስብ አድርገናል። አሁን ግን የአንድነት የህብረት የቤተሰብ ስብስብ ነውና እግዚአብሔር አምላክ ጸሎታችሁን ልመናችሁን ይስማችሁ። አሜን። ያዘጋጃችሁትም አዘጋጆችም እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ። አሜን። አዎ እንግዲህ በጩኸት ብቻ አይደለም፣ ከልብ በማዘን በማልቀስ በእንባ ዘለላ እንባ በማፍሰስ በዚህ በጾመ ነቢያቱ እየተሰባሰባችሁ በቤተ ክርስቲያናችሁ ሆነ በቤታችሁ አንዳንድ ዘለላ እንባ እንድታፈሱ አደራ እላችኋለሁ። እና ሀገር የምትወጣው ሰናክሬም በልቅሶ ነው ነፃ ያገኘው። ሰናክሬም እንትን ማነው ሕዝቅያስ በልቅሶ ነው ሰናክሬም ድል የነሳው። በእንባ ነው ሰናክሬም ድል የነሳው። በእንባ ነው ኃይል ያደረገው። እግዚአብሔር የሰማው እግዚአብሔር የተቀበለው። ይሄን ማንበብ አልችልም፣ ማንበብ የምትችለው አንተ ነህ። ይሄ ማንበብ አልችልም፣ ማንበብ የምትችለው አንተ ነህ። ሰናክሬም በጉልበት የማይገባ ጽፎብኛል አንተ ግን አንበህ ብሎ ለእግዚአብሔር አቀረበ እጁን ዘረጋ ጸለየ እንባውን አፈሰሰ እንባውን አበሰለት ኃያላኑ ከባዱ ሰው በለኪሶን በረሃ ወርቆ እንዲቀር አደረገው እና ስለዚህ ወገኖች በየሃይማኖታችሁ በየቤተ እምነታችሁ ተሰብስባችሁ እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ በረከቱን ያሳድርባችሁ ስራዎችን ሁሉ የተቃና ያድርግላችሁ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያን ሕዝቧን ከጥፋት ከመቅሰፍ ከጦርነት ከረሃብ ከቸነፈር እንዲሰውርልን አምላካችንን እንለምነዋለን በመላኩ በቅዱስ ሚካኤል ተራዳይነት በእመቤታችን አማላጅነት ወደሱ ጸሎታችን አቅርባለን አባታችን ሆይ ብለን ጸልይ አባታችን ሆይ በሰማይ የምትኖር ስምህ ይቀደስ መንግሥትህ ትምጣ ፈቃድህ በሰማይ እንደሆነች እንዲሁም በምድር ትሁን የዕለት እንጀራችንን ስጠን በደላችንን ይቅር በለን እኛም የበደሉንን ይቅር እንደምንል አቤቱ ወደ ፈተና አታግባን ከክፉ ሁሉ አድነን እንጂ መንግሥት ያንተ ናትና ኃይል ምስጋና ለዘላለሙ አሜን እመቤታችን ቅድስት ማርያም ሆይ በመልአኩ ገብርኤል ሰላምታ ሰላም እንልሻለን በሐሳብሽ ድንግል ነሽ በሥጋሽም ድንግል ነሽ አሸናፊ እግዚአብሔር እናት ሆይ ሰላምታ አንቺ ይገባሻል ከሴቶች ሁሉ ተለይተሽ አንቺ የተከበርሽ ነሽ የማኅፀንሽ ፍሬ የተባረከ ነው ጸጋን የተመላሽ ሆይ ደስ ይበልሽ እግዚአብሔር ከአንቺ ጋር ነውና ከተወደደው ልጅሽ ከጌታችን ከመድኃኒታችን ከኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ ዘንድ ይቅርታና ምሕረት ለምኝልን ኃጢአታችንን ያስተሰርይልን ለዘላለሙ አሜን ማይሰራ ኃጢአት እግዚአብሔር ይፍታ እግዚአብሔር ያበርታችሁ አሜን
አባታችንን ከልብ እናመሰግናለን ወደሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራም ከመሄድ በፊት ኖ ሞር ስንል no more not to the Americans medias ብቻ CNN ብቻ አይደለም no more to anyone who are attempting to divide us no more to it could be like the Ethiopians do you know how many YouTubers like we keep watching every day we notice them they're intending just to divide us we have to say no more to their lies no more to division no more to anti-unite Ethiopia forever thank you ከዚህ በማስቀጠል ከወንጌላዊት ቤተክርስቲያን ኢቫንጀሊካል ያሬድ እንደዚሁ በጣም አጠር አድርገው መልእክት ያስተላልፉልናል
ውድ የኢትዮጵያ ልጆች ይሰማል አዎ በዚህ ታሪካዊ ወቅት በዚህ ወሳኝ ጊዜ ራሷን የዓለም ፖሊስ አድርጋ በምታስበው በአሜሪካን በነጩ ቤተመንግስት ፊት ለፊት ስለ ምድራችን ስለ ሀገራችን ስለ ህዝባችን ስለ ህልውናችን ቆመን ለመናገር እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ ለኢትዮጵያ የምንቆምበት ጊዜ አሁን ወይም መቼም አሁን ወይም መቼም ዛሬ ካልቆምን መቼም ለኢትዮጵያ አንቆምም እኔ የወንጌላውያን አማኝ የወንጌላውያን አገልጋይ ነው ዛሬ በፊታችሁ የቆምኩት የትኛውንም የፖለቲካ ፓርቲ ደግፌ አይደለም የትኛውንም ብሔር ወክዬ አይደለም እውነትን ወክዬ ነው ጽድቅን ወክዬ ነው ፍትህን ወክዬ ነው ሰማይን የዘረጋ ምድርን የመሰረተ ዓለማትን ሁሉ ካለመኖር ወደ መኖር ያመጣ ሕያው እግዚአብሔር በዙፋኑ ሆኖ ያያል ይሰማል ይመልሳል ይፈርዳል እውነት ከኢትዮጵያ ጎን ናት። እውነት ከኢትዮጵያ ጋር ናት። ውድ ኢትዮጵያውያን እኛ የሰላም ሰዎች ነን። ኢትዮጵያ የሰላም ሀገር ናት። በማንም ጎረቤቶቿ ላይ ጦር አዝምታ የማታውቅ ነገር ግን ወደ ሌሎች ቦታዎች ሰላም አስከባሪ የምትልክ ታሪክ ያላት ገናና ሀገር ናት። ዛሬ ግን ሰላማችን ታውቋል። በጥባጭ እያለ ማንም ጥሩ መጠጣት አይችልም። ይሄንን ሰላም ግን የምናስከብረው ጸንተን በመቆም ብቻ ነው። ዛሬ የተነሱብን ሀገሮች ኃያላን ናቸው። የተነሱብን ድርጅቶች ግዙፍ ናቸው። የተነሱብን ሚዲያዎች ሰፊ ናቸው። ነገር ግን ከሁሉ የሚበልጥ እግዚአብሔር ከኛ ጋር አለ። የአሜሪካ ኃያልነት፣ የአውሮፓ ዩኒየን ኃያልነት፣ የዩናይትድ ኔሽን ኃያልነት ወገኖቼ በእግዚአብሔር ፊት ኢምንት ነው። ዳዊት እንደዚህ ያለ ቅዱስ ዳዊት እግዚአብሔር አንድ ነገር ተናገረ፣ እኔም ይህንን ሰማሁ፣ ኃይል የእግዚአብሔር ነው። ማካችሁ በሉት አንድ ጊዜ ኃይል የእግዚአብሔር ነው። ስለዚህ ቲፒኤልኤፍ ኢትዮጵያን መውጋት የጀመረው ጥቅምት 24 አይደለም፣ የዛሬ 46 ዓመት ነው። ቲፒኤልኤፍ በእነዚህ 46 ዓመታት ውስጥ ኢትዮጵያን ያልወጋበት፣ ኢትዮጵያን ለመበተን ያልሰራበት፣ ኢትዮጵያን ያልዘረፈበት፣ ያልበዘበዘበት፣ ኢትዮጵያን ያላሰቃየበት ዘመን የለም። ስለዚህ ይህ እኩይ ስብስብ፣ ይህ እኩይ ዓላማ ያለው ስብስብ መወገድ አለበት። ቲፒኤልኤፍ የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ ጠላት ነው። የኢትዮጵያ ጠላት ነው ስንል የትግራይም ሕዝብ ጠላት ነው። የትግራይ እናቶች ባለፉት 46 ዓመታት ውስጥ በሶስት ትላልቅ ጦርነቶች ልጆቻቸውን ገብረዋል። ለምን ብለን ብንል ለከንቱ፣ ለምንም ውጤትና ፍሬ ለሌለው ነገር። ስለዚህ አሁንም ቲፒኤልኤፍ ይህንን ዘመቻውን እንዲገታ እንጠይቃለን። አሜሪካ በሲሪያ የቆሸሸ እጇን፣ በሊቢያ፣ በየመን፣ በአፍጋኒስታን፣ በኢራቅ በተለያዩ ሀገሮች የቆሸሸ እጇን ከውድ ሀገራችን ከኢትዮጵያ ላይ እንድታነሳ እንጠይቃለን። ወገኖቼ ከተባበርን፣ በአንድነት ከቆምን፣ ገንዘባችንን፣ ጉልበታችንን፣ እውቀታችንን ሳንሰስት ከሰጠን ኢትዮጵያ ታሸንፋለች። እግዚአብሔር ኢትዮጵያንና ሕዝቦቿን ይባርክ። ሰላም በምድራችን ላይ ይሁን። ኢትዮጵያ ታሸንፋለች። እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ።
Thank you. Okay, let's keep this going before it gets too dark here. All right, so our next speaker is a special young lady. Come on. Her name is Loza Marcos, so she'll say a few words. Thank you.
TPLF is a communist terrorist group from its inception to the present day. They have killed, tortured, and jailed hundreds of thousands of Ethiopians for almost 30 years. Ethiopia is my pride, background, and nature of living, but TPLF is not part of me. Hearing these events has caused my heart to ache. And when I imagine my country, Ethiopia, I realize that it's changed from a peaceful, divine country of the Lord to a victim of the darkness of the devil. The friendship and strong bonds that I have with every Ethiopian in my church and school proves the heart of Ethiopians to be pure and natural. Our ceremonies, our music, our celebration are full of happiness and thankfulness for the Lord. Our ancestors have left emotional legacies the religion of Christianity has remained in our country for many years, and our Lord has forever been a beacon of hope for our existence. Together we are the Horn of Africa, but we are divided. There's a conflict now, and there has been for many years. Our brothers and sisters are currently trying to escape Ethiopia as refugees, despite the fact that they love their country, but they can't help being victims of its division. For 30 years, tyranny has invaded Ethiopia, and we have become victims of evil. I then ask myself, why is there so much evil in this world? Why do people choose greed over compassion? However, there is no need for an answer to this question. How can you explain why the children who look just like me are being killed, with our brothers and sisters begging for food, grieving their families, losing their homes, and most of all, losing hope of a good life?
Nana jest na coś. I don't think she came. Nana, text message me maybe she's here. Get to some other sometimes, yeah, I asked her on the phone.
Samrawit and her mother live in a camp. Samrawit said, we suddenly left our village when we heard gunfire. I don't know the whereabouts of my father. She has dreams of finishing school to become a doctor, just like me. However, her future is now uncertain. She says, now I need food to eat and to hug my beloved father.
Thank you.
I beg the Biden administration to let the horrors of our time come to an end, for the spilling of our people's blood to come to an end, and to let Ethiopian people to finally live in peace rather than misery.
Yes!
I still have high hopes for the next generation. Let's save them from this pain as they come into this new world. Let's give them the opportunity to dream. Let's preserve their happiness. And most of all, let's prevent them from feeling the pain that I'm feeling, and that's the loss of my own people. I would like to conclude with a Bible verse. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness. Let me repeat our Lord's words. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. This means TPLF is acting rebelliously against not only our country, but also against our Almighty Lord. So we are no longer connected with these terrorists. So America should no longer be connected with these terrorists.
That was Loza Marcos. She was born here in the U.S. She's 17 years old.
Yes.
Just want to recognize that. Okay, our next speaker, real quick, 2 minutes, is from, her name is Ethiopia.